Okay, so now I'm not an artist, I'm a curator and facilitator of art science residencies, so I'm going to talk from this point of view. And my name is Hediger, and I'm co-heading the Artists and Labs program at the Zurich University of the Arts. And what I want to talk to you about today is some of the challenges and questions that I face in my work with art science collaborations, and how it is that I'm thinking about the processes of making space for these immersive exchanges. But let me start with a short atmospheric glimpse into some of the residencies of the last years.
I saw the Artists and Labs call for proposals, and when I was going through the different labs that I could apply to, I saw the sleep lab there, and I was so intrigued by the fact that I could come to a sleep lab.
Ja, ich habe in den letzten paar Jahren einige Projekte im Bereich Kunst und Energie gemacht, und dann war es natürlich relativ naheliegend, mich zu bewerben, vor allem als ich gesehen habe, dass das PSI zur Diskussion steht, weil ich wusste von meinem Hintergrund, dass das PSI Energieforschung macht.
Wir haben hier einfach die Chance gesehen, wirklich mal gleichberechtigt zusammen ein Projekt zu entwickeln, und das war total spannend, und das wollten wir, also die Chance wollten wir einfach wahrnehmen.
The CERN is just the heart of the interest, what is going on inside the matter, and with the start of the LHC, I said, okay, wow, this is the time to be there and to share this experience with the scientists.
He takes failure not as a problem, but as an enrichment. He will try everything, even the impossible, and in fact, one of his main methods is to do things that cannot be done. You never learn anything new when you just keep to the things that you know how to do. Interesting experiments are the ones that give an outcome that you have not expected. It's only the boring experiments that give you exactly what you would be looking for.
Okay, and here I like to go back to presentation. Ah, you can see. Okay. I think it might be useful to give you a sense of the intellectual and cultural context within which the Artists and Labs program developed, as I think this will help you to appreciate why some of these questions of process and of art science collaborations are important and socially relevant today in Switzerland. Switzerland's key export resources are knowledge, science, and technology and creative processes. That's a fact. The culture of Switzerland is characterized by diversity. In the context of a small country that has 4 national languages, German, French, Italian, and Romansh, you might know, and an exceptional density of scientific research laboratories across the country, the Artists and Labs program is also embedded in the rich arts program at the Zurich University of the Arts, that is known in particular for its interdisciplinary and its international activities. So for the last 10 years, we have been placing artists from a variety of backgrounds in science labs across Switzerland, and since 2009 also around the world. The Artists and Labs program is open to all disciplines of the arts, and of course also to all disciplines of the sciences. Meanwhile, more than 30 artists in the lab have been working with scientists over an extensive period of time in over 20 research institutions around Switzerland and in the world. Our focus lies in the creative collaborative process. The duration of the residencies are 9 months, to enable the collaborations to develop deeply and over time. We are interested in open outcomes, aiming a broadening of the horizons on both sides. Dialogue and mutual exchange are other keywords, and to allow each party to have access to pertinent debates outside their own disciplines. To thinking out of the box of the confines of disciplines and open up for further collaborations, of course. The international extension since 2009 is interesting because here not only the boundaries of two different fields of knowledge are crossed, the artists are also immersed in different cultural contexts. Selected artists from Switzerland, China, and India were offered residencies in Swiss, Indian, and Chinese science laboratories. And right now, we are trying to establish a laboratory exchange with Russia. So, what it does, if you cross these two boundaries, is actually you are embedded in global thematics, because what we are choosing, the thematical focus of these collaborations, was and is environmental issues and the related research, such as water, climate change, and biodiversity. Global issues that are always part of a local and a regional community and environment. And it is so also that the artists that are in this different culture are thinking about the global problems or the global issues in a different way, be it in the place they are, but also reflecting on their own place where they're coming from. And I found this really interesting to observe with all the artists. And how do we manage to get the ground prepared for these collaborations, who are experimental and process-oriented in its nature? It has been wonderful to see how in recent years the labs and science facilities around Switzerland have come to embrace artistic research and practices. But one of the things we need to be clear about is the role and the purpose of the artist in that space, because they're going into the science labs. Our process therefore starts very well before the artists start in the lab. There we are facilitators and mentors with the scientists to get the ground prepared, manage expectations, because sometimes there are quite some expectations, and putting them into perspective about our aims. One of the things that is important to us is that the scientists we are working with value art as a research process and value the artist as an expert too. And then during the residencies, we act as ongoing mentors to the artists and scientists, and very rarely also as mediators. The collaboration process demands a high level of engagement from all participants involved. It takes a good portion of patience and respect to go through the changing dynamics and the constantly evolving nature of both work and also the social relations. This also has to do because the artists are really a part of the scientific community. They are like another member, like PhD students. They have a space and they go to meetings, they're really involved. What is interesting to see is how very different and individual all the forms of collaborations are. Sometimes they happen around an investigation of materials, sometimes around shared ideas and concepts, sometimes around technologies of objects. But the first months of the collaboration are often accompanied with not understanding each other, because of the very different vocabulary, of course, and also the different reference systems we are used to in science and in the arts. At first, this can really prove problematic and lead to misunderstandings, but as we already heard in the talk of Monsieur Lévy, these are often really the starting points and what we are actually looking for, of what becomes a very interesting dialogue and might open up new dimensions of understanding ideas, concepts, images, sounds, and also movements. As you can imagine, to get into the fields of scientific research that often have, so to speak, a strong awareness of their own identity, methodologies and knowledge structures, it takes an equally strong artistic identity by the artists for the collaboration to happen on an equal level. At this point, I would like to show you an example of a film, because we always document these residencies, which means at the end of or towards the end of the residencies, we go into the lab and we ask the scientists and the artists the kind of same set of questions about their collaboration, because we want to find out about their process, not about the results, of course. And the film that I'm going to show you is a 9-month exchange that has happened between Jérémy Gindre, he's a conceptual artist but also a writer, with the scientists of the research centers in neuroscience and affective sciences in Geneva at the University of Geneva. And now, hopefully, and here you see an image, you might not know which one is the artist, which one is the scientist. You will get that once the film has started.
We are in the Department of Neuroscience, so I'm doing brain research, looking at how the brain of different people work, and I'm interested in the role of sleep, dreaming, on memory, and I'm interested in emotions, and there are links also with another center, which is the Affective Science Center in Geneva.
The Swiss Center for Affective Sciences is a center in which we investigate emotions. So it's really our topic of research, and we do it with very many disciplines. So we have, for instance, philosophy, all the humanities, economy, literature, and we also have other faculties. So psychology is very strongly involved as well, and neuroscience, for instance.
We are trying to find new ways to investigate the world, so, and I think in that respect it can be, it's not similar to the work of an artist, but it has the same kind of curiosity and kind of drive, and I mean this motivation can be shared quite easily with artists.
Moi j'ai un travail qui tourne toujours un peu autour de l'idée de la découverte, parce que la découverte est toujours un grand moteur d'histoire, et je me suis intéressé toujours à savoir comment les choses étaient découvertes. Donc, je me suis beaucoup intéressé à l'histoire des sciences et à certaines sciences, en particulier les sciences naturelles. Dans les choix qui étaient offerts cette année par le programme Artist Synapse, je me suis très naturellement tourné en fait vers le centre interfacultaire en neurosciences et le centre interfacultaire en sciences affectives.
Jeremy is not only a writer, in fact, because as he showed us, he also makes very nice drawings and very interesting drawings, and he has, more than being a writer, I think he has his own approach to art and his own approach to science.
What is nice in the type of research that we do is that I think it's easily understandable. So I'm sure he could really understand quite, well, almost as a scientist, what we were doing.
J'étais arrivé à un stade où je suis toujours aussi intéressé par l'art contemporain et par la littérature en général, mais j'avais besoin de sortir de ce milieu-là et d'être vraiment confronté à autre chose, d'avoir une espèce de nouvel élan. Et ce nouvel élan, je l'ai vraiment trouvé dans ces sciences où voilà, j'étais l'artiste et pas juste un artiste parmi d'autres, j'étais leur artiste.
It was a unique opportunity to have someone coming to the lab and to really interact with him and to have an exchange of knowledge. We had several meetings and we exchanged books. So I really see it as an exchange more than something that we would bring to him, for instance. So it really also brought a lot to us and to people in the center.
I know that some reports from patients would bring lesions were quite striking for him. And this is also what struck me when I was young, because it's really fascinating. Because you think, how is that possible that we lose, for example, the ability to recognize people by their face while being completely normal for everything else? I mean, it's like, how is that possible?
Je me suis assez naturellement porté plutôt vers l'écriture, bien que j'ai fait d'autres projets pendant la résidence qui étaient plus visuels, parce qu'en fait ces sciences me paraissaient vraiment des puits à histoire. Il y avait vraiment très facilement plein de choses à raconter avec ces sciences, soit dans les troubles de la perception dont il était question, voilà, l'amnésie, des problèmes de mémoire, des problèmes de perception de l'espace et tout ça. En fait, chaque fois que il y a peut-être quelque chose qui ne marche plus comme il devrait dans notre cerveau, ça donne lieu à une histoire très étrange, ou très belle, ou très triste.
Stress, which is measured in your cortisol level, which is a hormone that correlates with, in a higher stress situation, you have a higher level of cortisol.
Il y a 3 nouvelles qui se sont mises en place assez vite. Une qui était sur la question de l'héminégligence. C'est un trouble qui apparaît chez un patient qui, par exemple, a eu un accident vasculaire cérébral dans l'hémisphère droit. Il peut arriver que cette personne, du coup, ait des troubles de la perception dans son champ sensoriel gauche. Ce qu'il va entendre, ce qu'il va voir, ce qu'il va toucher, ce qu'il va sentir, il va avoir tendance à le négliger. C'est-à-dire qu'il continue à le recevoir, mais son cerveau ne le prend pas en compte. J'ai décidé d'écrire une nouvelle qui prendrait le cas d'une personne qui serait négligente, et pour ça il fallait que je sache pas seulement ce qu'était ce trouble, mais ce que cette personne pouvait ressentir et comment ça affectait sa perception du monde en général.
Jérémy est venu plusieurs fois, on a discuté de mon activité dans le cadre clinique, puis après il est venu à une ou deux sessions avec un patient, donc j'ai fait un bilan, puis j'avais mis assisté au bilan, parce que c'est toujours bien de dire, voilà, c'est ce qu'on voit, mais tant qu'on ne l'a pas vu, on se dit c'est pas possible, ça ne peut pas exister. Et donc on a fait une évaluation clinique ensemble, et puis il a vu comment se comportait un patient avec une négligence spatiale. Et puis de fil en aiguille, on s'est rencontrés plusieurs fois, et à chaque fois il y avait des patients assez particuliers, parce que c'est un peu aussi mon domaine, c'est à chaque fois qu'il y a un patient qui présente un symptôme, qui sort un peu de l'ordinaire, on m'appelle, et puis on me dit viens voir, est-ce que tu peux voir ce qu'il a exactement. Et puis donc à chaque fois j'essayais d'associer cette pathologie un peu particulière avec Jérémy pour qu'il puisse se rendre compte ce que c'était que de voir des patients qui avaient des troubles de perception de l'espace en général.
Ça fait du bien d'avoir un bout tout plat, régulier. Sur la droite, le jardinier tond le gazon à tracteur pour la première fois de l'année. L'odeur est frappante et ce n'est pas seulement une question d'attention si elle fait oublier celle de frites venues du restaurant de l'autre côté. On longe les courts de tennis, puis à droite vers les tables de pique-nique où les adolescentes fument des cigarettes en écoutant de la musique sur un mini sound system en rose. Donc voilà, il y a toujours un rapport qui est des fois très proche avec cette science et des fois très éloigné. Des fois, il y a juste un petit bout de la science qui est utilisé, et puis des fois, c'est tout un tas de choses comme ça qui sont réunies et mises dans la nouvelle.
I think that he managed to understand a lot of things that we do, but still managed to do it in his own way and managed to bring his art to scientific topics. So the basic idea was not at all, I guess, to have something written for the general public in terms of what a scientist would write for the general public, but really to do artwork based on scientific knowledge.
Je suis allé voir les conférences, j'ai essayé de rencontrer assez vite les gens qui étaient dans les centres. Moi, j'avais la possibilité d'y aller comme un touriste. Dès que j'avais une question, je pouvais tout de suite avoir le meilleur spécialiste de cette question pour la lui poser. Et donc j'étais en fait un espèce de touriste très intéressé et très appliqué pendant les 3 premiers mois pour simplement comprendre de quoi il s'agissait.
We had discussions, frequent discussions, and also he participated to some of our studies that I'm supervising, including also other studies from other labs here. It was quite funny to have him and asking some of the questions that he would ask. At the same time, he also taught me a lot because he would come with books that he would somehow connect to what we were doing in research, and he was quite smart for that. In fact, I learned quite a lot.
Dès le début, j'ai commencé à noter sur des bouts de papier, sur mes calepins, des œuvres d'artistes, ou des livres, ou des romans, ou des films qui me semblaient être des échos à ce qu'ils me racontaient. Et du coup, je les ai invités soit à l'atelier, soit à voir des expositions.
The general reaction was extremely positive. We were very happy to see how all the PhD students and the postdocs reacted to him being here. Everybody was very happy to have an occasion to talk to him, and Jeremy organized several times meetings in his lab, so to speak, where he works. And it was very nice to see the 30 or 40 members here going there, to have him explaining what is conceptual art and all the understanding he had about what we do in terms of the books he already read, and then he could explain exactly the links he could see between art and science.
Moi, j'avoue que les moments de déclic que j'ai eus, c'était vraiment quand lui m'a parlé de certains artistes. Par exemple, il y a un artiste qui a fait enregistrer, donc il utilisait des magnétophones, et puis donc il faisait écouter une histoire, et la personne devait apprendre l'histoire, et ensuite elle racontait sur le deuxième magnétophone. Deuxième personne arrivait, écoutait le deuxième magnétophone, devait écouter, et ensuite devait donc restituer le deuxième magnétophone. On voyait donc l'évolution en fait de l'histoire qui, du début à la fin, n'était plus du tout la même. Et c'est exactement ces aspects-là, en fait, notamment de la mémoire, que je trouve absolument fascinant. Et j'étais ô combien surprise, en fait, de voir à quel point, justement, les artistes pouvaient vraiment retransmettre les questions, en fait, qu'on a ou ce qu'on va tester.
La deuxième étape qui était de faire lire ces nouvelles aux chercheurs avec qui j'avais travaillé et aux principaux professeurs de labo ici, avec qui j'avais discuté aussi. L'écho le plus intéressant que j'ai eu, en fait, c'est que souvent, quand ils lisaient la nouvelle, ils me donnaient un avis de lecteur et un avis de spécialiste. Et on sentait que quand ils avaient lu la nouvelle, ils avaient été partagés entre ces deux positions-là. C'est-à-dire qu'en même temps, ils lisaient l'histoire et ils se plongeaient dans l'histoire, et tout à coup, à un moment, ils se disaient « Ah, mais ça, c'est ce que je lui ai dit !» Ou alors « Ah, mais ça, c'est pas vraiment comme ça que ça se passe, il faudrait que je lui donne des précisions sur ce sujet-là. »
I cannot read his novels, almost, because he is using some of the fascinating things that we can observe in patients who have brain damages, for example, or things that we have discovered that are strange ways our brain can work. And in fact, he's using that as a way of distorting the reality of the protagonist in his novels. But the reader is not supposed to know that. The reader will perceive something that is a little bit distorted, but without knowing exactly what is wrong. Whereas I'm like, I know what he's talking about, and I immediately I'm trying to see, is he talking about this or this?
Le tracé longe encore la rive du fleuve sur 200 mètres, puis remonte la pente en direction du parc omnisport. L'escalier a été construit par une équipe de forestiers qui ont taillé des marches irrégulières contrées par des rodins. Mesure qu'on a défoncé certaines, et ce n'est pas vraiment une surprise si Claude trébuche sur le haut. Ah merde, mais qu'est-ce que... Il a perdu sa chaussure gauche, dont les lacets se sont défaits, ou n'ont peut-être pas été faits du tout. Il sait bien qu'il faut vraiment qu'il commence à faire attention à ce genre de truc, mais en même temps, on ne peut que s'en rendre compte trop tard. La chaussure a roulé un peu plus bas, heureusement retenue par une branche morte. Il descend, un cloche-pied l'a ramassé, prend le temps de remonter sa chaussette, et noue doublement ses lacets en s'appuyant sur la marge supérieure. Rien en passe. Pour vérifier, il tourne franchement la tête. Le reste de l'escalier se fait en marchant.
We would really like to continue to work with him, and what we do now is we explore different types of possibilities. So there are several topics in which Jeremy is already involved, because we really felt that his approach can be helpful for understanding many aspects of psychology in general, in fact. And also, in terms of his skills as an artist, as a writer, it could be very important for writing scenarios, for experiments, for instance.
Et pour la suite de la collaboration ici, puisque j'ai vraiment envie de continuer à discuter avec ces scientifiques, donc de toute façon j'irai voir les choses qu'ils font, c'est quelque chose qui ne va pas s'arrêter, et j'ai aussi l'impression qu'eux-mêmes vont venir voir les expositions que je fais et vont lire des livres que je fais, c'est que ouais, on s'est vraiment bien entendu.
I think this example shows how Jeremy extended the dialogue well beyond the space of the science laboratory and managed to have the scientists taking their time. And this is not an easy task, because taking time is a very, very good in the life of scientists, to be interested in anything else than their own research topics. As scientists are used to describing and explaining reality and have gained a kind of monopoly on this. This brings a lot of pressure that results in an explosion of scientific papers and urge for results to keep this monopoly. I think this is also the main reason why it is difficult for scientists to leave their comfort zone and exposing themselves to the uncertainties of another terrain than their own. However, Jeremy managed to capture the interest and time of the busy scientists, taking them into his studio, or as they were saying, his laboratory, and to exhibitions, introducing them to the artist writers and his artistic processes and production. I just would like to share with you, just in general, in general there is no general in art, in like encounters between artists and scientists that I've been observing for the last 6 or 7 years now. They were really highly individual, and it has always been a learning process, and I don't mean with the learning process about only like the topics in the science or topics of art, but also how to speak to each other, how to take the space to kind of get away maybe of this fast food, what I call sometimes fast food also in science. And I really believe that we need to foster spaces of critical thinking and share our visions and bring these ecosystems or our ecosystems together to be able to develop new comprehensive concepts and knowledge to find solutions, because we have manifold challenges in today's societies and in the environment also, not only for the present but certainly for the future. And the process, I think, of recomposing ingredients from art and sciences has scarcely begun. And there is still so much to be explored and shared that might lead to more quality, maybe, rather than more quantity. We have plenty of that, I think. And relating to Isabel Stengers, a Belgian science historian, is really what I would support her in, like pleading for like slow science, but not only slow science, sometimes also slow art, I think. And with this I would like to end, but at the same time also say that with these residencies we have also the chance to kind of get into fields and is feeding back into other fields, like for example at the Zurich University of the Arts. With our connections to the scientists, we could now for the first time, and this was with a very bottom-up approach, doing a first pilot on how to create a bachelor between students of the arts and students of environmental science. And this is probably the first step. I don't know, there might be other universities where it's more common to have these kind of projects and trying to study together, but in Switzerland this is very separated. It's like the technical universities and we have the arts universities. So these are further steps to opening up to discussions. I don't know, it's maybe not the third space, but it's many spaces that open up for dialogues, and where there is dialogue, there is life, and there hopefully are nice or good scenarios for our future. Here you see certain links that are also connected to the Artisan Labs program. We have also, my colleague has a PhD program for artists that do decide to do a PhD between art and science within these fields. And also we are part of a network that is called Arts Active. That's a website where you can also find residencies all over the world and also calls all over the world. And last but not least, the pop-up lab. This is actually a collaboration we have with artists and scientists that have been working together, and this is funded by the Science, and it is specifically for those tandems, I'm calling them, that are interested to sharing the processes of arts and the processes of science with a general public or a very specific public, but really share their processes and not the actual knowledge of whatever expert knowledge. Okay, and now I'm open to questions, or maybe you are too tired to ask questions and we go on to the panel.